Greetings folks, Fuzz here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to take on the level 79 Tainted Monster known as Horraura, which is considered to be one of the game's hardest endgame challenges, despite the fact that it's not particularly high level. It's just got such a wide variety of attacks that do so much damage. So hopefully this little video is going to help you with a strategy for taking this one down. If it does, please don't forget to support me by leaving a like and subscribing to the YouTube channel. Let's get started with today's show. Okay then, so for the first part of our setup I'm going to be talking about what Higgledies I'll be using. And this is a great Higgledy team here, and it's one that I use pretty much through most encounters that I go in, and it works very well even on this fight. And it involves Flap Waggle the Feathery, Popple the Pure, Frabjouse or Frabjuice the Fusilier, and Gaia the Flyer. So basically the way this works is that Popple the Pure and Frabjuice the Fusilier are going to have an ability which you can see there called Higgledy Sirah or Sirah, something along those lines anyway. And that's going to summon a Higgledy Knight, a big fat knight, to come and help you in battle, and it is actually very, very powerful. So what's going to happen is when you activate the abilities from these two, they're going to summon a knight, and these two green Higgledies have an ability known as Higgledy Whoosh. And if I just show you that one there, it's not Higgledy Whoosh actually, it's Me Too, Me Too. What that will do is actually copy another Higgledy's skill. So the green ones will automatically, in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, it seems to me anyway, summon a knight every time you summon a knight with Popple or Frabjuice. So if you summon knights with both of these, then there's a good chance, and I see this very regularly, that both the green Higgledies will also each summon a knight. And what that means is that you can have up to 4 knights on the battlefield at any one time. And the knights are, as I say, very powerful. They don't last for long, probably about 60 seconds or so. But by the time they're extinguished, you should hopefully be able to summon them again. And by keeping just an army of knights up at your disposal, they're going to attract the attention of the enemies while also doing a lot of damage. So how do you get these particular Higgledies? Well, they're actually fairly simple to get. The one which is Popple the Pure here is collected from Jumble Wood, so you just use the Higgledy Stone that's there by giving a Slumber Gull Feather. And the other 3 are crafted over at the Higgledy. So I'll just show you how it is you craft these guys, and then if you want to, you can see the ingredients. So of course you might need to upgrade your Higgledy place if you can't craft any of these, if they're not in the list for whatever reason. So the first is Frabjuice the Fusilier, and the good thing about him is everything can be purchased if you don't have it, either from your general store in your kingdom or from the Swift Solutions vendor if not. So the 2 green Higgles, whatever they're called, bit of a tongue twister, aren't they, are Gaia. So you will have to actually farm some of his materials, but you can get everything from the kingdom as well, so you won't have to go out to the areas if you don't want to do so. But as you can see, the lovely wool can be purchased along with the Icy Prism from either the general store or Swift Solutions. And then finally we have Flap Waggle the Feathery, who can also have all his ingredients purchased as well. So these particular Higgledies are not all that challenging to get your hands onto. So only the one is in a Higgledy Stone, and that just requires a Slumber Gull Feather, which you can pick up from Macronos in the outdoor area of Macronos, which is the island near Hydro Town or whatever that place is called. So that's the Higgledy setup that I'm using, and so we're going to build our skills around the Higgledies that we have in our party. So speaking of party, you're basically going to want to have skills that are going to be using the white or green Higgledies in order to boost their power. Now, absolutely without question, you're going to want Tani in your party for multiple reasons. First of all, her spells have green Higgledies or white Higgledies, which are very useful, of course. And we'll talk about the main reason, though, for that later on as to why you want her. But just go through your party and pick whoever you want. I've gone for Brackham, so she'll be able to make use of some spells as well. And I've gone for Evan, mostly because I couldn't be bothered to optimise any further than that, even though his Higgledies or his spells don't really maximise the Higgledies we've got. You can go ahead and use Barku. He's pretty decent if you want to do so, but that's entirely up to you. What is important is that you really do use Tani, and I'm going to explain why right now. The strategy we're going to be using is going to revolve around poisoning the tainted mob in question. So the best way to do this, poison is such a powerful status effect, by the way, in the No Kuni II. It's the best status effect that you can inflict against enemies amongst all the status effects in the game, followed perhaps by confusion, but poison in particular is what we're going for. So at the weapon shop, we're going to head over to ranged weapons, and what we really want to be able to craft is this weapon here that's known as Basilisk Bow. So you don't need an absolute maxed out weapon workshop for this one, but you do need to have researched quite deep into it in order to craft the Basilisk Bow. And I'll just show you the ingredients that you're going to have to farm for this one. Now the good thing is, all of these ingredients can be collected from your kingdom. You don't have to actually be able to need to farm them from the forest cave. So you can go to the forest cave if you want to, but they can all be collected from your kingdom as well. So it's not the rarest ingredients in the game. And the Everwing Feather as well can also be collected from your kingdom if you want to use it as a catalyst, which you should really be doing, to be honest with you. Now the reason we want to create this item is because of that high chance of poisoning enemies and more likely to inflict status ailments, statuses that come with the weapon. They're very, very important. We basically want to keep this monster poisoned as much as possible. In terms of the rest of your gear, just equip the most powerful gear you have on all of your characters. Just make sure that Tani is using that particular weapon. The other thing I should point out on equipment is if you've got something like the Ring of Rancor, then equip that on Tani as well. That's going to come in very, very useful. You really want to try and boost the chance of inflicting those status ailments. And the necklace I've given Tani is the slippery pendant. There's going to be a lot of dodging and evading taking place in this battle. So the more leeway we get in timing our dodges and what have you is going to make the battle a whole lot easier. I'm not going to bother giving these to the other party members, although you can do as well, because the AI is generally either pretty good at dodging, in which case, you know, it's going to be fine even without this item equipped on those characters, or it's just going to fail completely, in which case a slippery pendant isn't going to help you anyway. So that's what I've got going for Tani there, along, of course, with that all-important venomous Basilisk Bow, which I've got equipped, as you can see. Okay, so let's just move over to the tactic tweaker next, and this is going to be a beautiful foe. So you do want to have the fairy icon selected in the monsters affinity list, which you can see there, and just have all 5 points pumped into that. I'd recommend on spoil settings having a level 2 rare equipment, because there's a lot of ads in this fight. They do tend to drop equipment, and it's nice, you know, if you can upgrade that to rare or epic, so the more chance you have of doing that, the better. And next up, the Arts of War. I would actually prioritise defence over offence for this fight for sure. So drag the brutality ones down. You're not going to be too concerned about doing, you know, melee damage anyway, but even damage as a whole isn't that important in this fight. I know that sounds strange. Obviously, you need to do damage to kill the enemy, but it's just mostly going to be a grind, a slog, to get through the battle, and you're much better off investing in defence so that you can survive, rather than trying to kill it as quickly as you can. So to that end, I'd prioritise untouchability and then durability, and if you have any points left over, you might even want to go for fleet-footedness, because you might need to practice this fight a few times before you get it down perfectly. And you might not want to have to lose the ingredients that you've been collecting, or the weapons and equipment, or even the experience if you're not max level, by killing the ads. So I'd recommend giving yourself the option to escape if need be. And you can escape anyway, but with everything that's being fired at you, fleet-footedness is going to make escaping just a lot less painful, a lot less dangerous. But I would prioritise defences, and then after that fleet-footedness, if you wish to do so. I'm sure this next bit goes without saying, but it is worth mentioning anyway, because it is easy to forget. We do have to make our way into Ding Dong Well, or the Old Well, or whatever it's called. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure you're prepared with items before you take the trek out. What you're going to want to stock up on is obviously the health restoring items, the Soraways, in particular 3-leaved and 4-leaved, and the Sovereign Soraways if you can afford those as well. Soraway Sweets and Sovereign Soraway Sweets are also very useful, though you can only take an extremely limited number of those into the battle. And then for your MP restoring items, you're going to want the Sensor, so 6th Sensor straight down to Supreme 6th Sensor. Although the Superior 6th Sensor tends to be, you know, pretty much the decent enough to restore your MP, but because you can only carry a limited amount of all of these, I do recommend taking every single one into the battle. And then depending on how much Gilders you have, you might want to stock up on Sage's Secret and Great Sage's Secret, and very importantly are the resurrection items such as Angel's Tear and Saviour's Tear. Again, you can only take a few of these into the fight. I think it's 3 of Angels and 2 of Saviours. So try not to use them unless you have 2 party members dead in order to get the maximised use out of them. And that's pretty much it for items. Just make sure you have a nice supply, especially if you're going to be escaping from the battle. You want to make sure that you're, not going to run out of items by going in and out of the fight. Obviously, by escaping the battle, the boss is going to heal up again. But that's just the way it goes, unfortunately. Right, the only other thing that might be worth mentioning is food, and this isn't really a priority in my opinion. You're going to be dying a lot in this fight, more than likely, and it's really unfortunate in this game that your food buff disappears when you die. But just for the sake of completionism, the perhaps most useful food is going to be one of these curries here, the Gloopy curry, since you can put that onto Tani, and that increases even further your chance of inflicting poison on the boss. So you might want to grab a few of these depending on how much ingredients you have, and some of the other ones as well, such as the genie juice for your other characters, because that just basically does lots of damage. But again, it's not really priority. You're going to be losing those food buffs very regularly anyway, so just by dying, so I didn't bother too much with them, to tell you the truth. Right, next up then, we are going to make our way, I think we're prepared now, over to the boss. So you can actually get there quicker by going to the slums in Ding Dong Dell, and then heading into the Old Well from there. But you can't really escape from the fight and make your way to a save point easily by going that way. So I recommend just teleporting to the Old Well in question, and then just making the long trek over to the save point where the Tainted Mob is located. So when you teleport to the Old Well, you'll be starting at the save point that's furthest south. Simply start making your way north and then over to the east to get to the save point that's furthest to the top of the screen there to the north. And that's literally where the Tainted Mob is going to be located, just in the next room from there. Okay then guys, so I'm going to be ending my commentary soon so you can see how I've done the battle, and hopefully you can sit back and enjoy this. I just want to give you a few tips before I do love you and leave you though. So the basic premise of this fight is, in a sense, the basic premise to many of the Tainted encounters. You're going to be pretty much keeping a distance, so attacking from range mostly, then activating your Higgledies as you go. So this is especially true in this battle because we have that bow on Tani. We're going to keep Tani as the playable character and just hit this boss with as much range attacks as possible. You can see already it's been poisoned, and the poison is going to do a lot of damage. So we need to keep that poison active on the boss. It doesn't last for too long, unfortunately. We are going to need to keep hitting it with the bow. Now, if you find that you're not able to poison the boss, no matter just, how much you're hitting it, it's probably because your poison success chance is just too low, and you want to use some of those other tips I've shared in this strategy for raising it, such as with food buffs, with your other accessories, and just make sure you're using that particular weapon, since it boosts status effects overall, as well as having a high chance of casting poison. Now, what you're going to want to do in terms of your Higgledies, because your Higgledies are also going to be a big part of this fight, and they're going to bring a lot of the damage in to the battle. You want to focus on using the white Higgledy skills, okay? Not the green Higgledy skills, the white Higgledy skills. That's because you need to get the knights into battle, and if you're using the green Higgledy skills, they're not going to be copying the knights when you do summon them into battle. Remember, the white Higgledies will summon the knights, the green Higgledies will have a high chance of copying that ability when the knights are summoned and bringing extra knights into the fight. So don't think, oh, there's a green Higgledy spell I can select, let's go and activate it. That's not necessarily the best thing to do. You do want to go ahead and prioritise the white Higgledies and let the greens automatically bring those knights in. As you can see in the background here, we've got 4 knights going all at once. If you're lucky, then Lofty will give you a golden ball. If he does this, then just absolutely spam your spells with Tani, your highest damaging spells over and over and over to get as much damage in and make the best of that golden ball opportunity. One thing I probably should have mentioned in the strategies is just to make sure that your spells are nicely leveled up as much as you can afford to get them to. And in terms of resurrecting, because as I said, you are going to die in this fight and your party members are going to die. I would just make sure you make the most of your resurrection items, such as your Angel's Tear and your Saviour's Tear, by only using them when 2 party members are dead. Okay, if 1 party member dies, just carry on with the fight for as long as possible. When a 2nd party member dies, then quickly go to the menu and use one of those items. Above all then, just prioritise healing, restoring MP, especially when the ads are brought into the fight. You're going to want your party members to unleash their skills, especially AoE skills, to try and bring those ads down just as fast as possible. If things get a bit hairy, then you can escape from this fight by running to the edge of the screen. But just be careful, you can get killed if you're not paying attention while you're trying to escape. But I think that's pretty much it. Just stay on routine. I should really talk about that ball before I finish off that you just saw then. That ball is the one ability that will one-shot you if you're not paying attention. But you can avoid the damage completely. Just before it explodes, make sure you hit evade. And if you went to the tactic tweaker and increased the amount of time that you don't take damage while evading, and if you equipped that necklace that I showed you on Tani, then it shouldn't be a big problem to dodge that ball pretty much every time. Just when the ads are there, make sure you're paying attention, because you can forget about the boss throwing that giant plasma ball, and it will still do it. So just bear that in mind. But dodge that damage, and your party members should be pretty decent at dodging the ball when it comes towards them, but resurrect them when they fail. And just pretty much keep concentrating throughout the fight. Right, I said I wasn't going to commentate too long, and I have done, so I apologise for that. I'm going to just let you finish off the rest of the fight now. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Let me know what you think of this strategy in the comment section below. If you've got any tips to share with us, then please do so as well. But thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you soon, guys, for more No Kuni II. Take care. Goodbye.